My title is Honoring the Pillars. I pull this down, got this offline, because these are the individuals who have been here in the heat of the day. These are the individuals who have worked, who have labored. These are the individuals. Your life may not have been perfect, but you have lived to serve others in your community and in your church. I was by a home this week where the lady told how when their house burned down, the neighbor called them to stay in their house until they got set again. Anybody remember those days? Honoring the pillars. That is where we need to get back to. I'm one of those persons who oppose the churches having buses to bring its members to church and drop them home. You know why? There's enough vehicles out here. If everybody take one or two persons and drop them home, and everyone pick up one or two persons and bring them to church, the only time you need a bus is when you want to travel together. And for that, you can always rent one. It's more personal touch. Again, I'm going by the way I was trained, Sister Andrea. That's where I was trained. You pick up people, you take them to the meetings, and you bring them and you drop them back. This is the way many persons. I don't see Sister Moxie here, but she would tell you, Sister Nayoka Corley, that's how she dealt with her young people. Matter of fact, sometimes they used to be driving the car, and it kept them together. That fellowship, that bond. They didn't have a lot, but they knew how to meet together and share the little that they had. This is what our pioneers have done. They have worked hard and difficult. They have borne the heat of the day. They practiced their faith when it was not popular. Sometimes they met with ridicule and scorn. Brother Alfred Brennan said people told his father when he went to church on Sabbath, so there goes Balaam riding on his donkeys. He soon talk to you. Back in the 80s when I became an Adventist, people looked at you in school like you had lost your mind. What do you mean you don't eat pork? What's wrong with you? Today I go some places and you have persons ordering vegetarian. Some say they want vegan. No egg, no milk, no cheese, no nothing. It was not common back then. And many of our pillars endured a lot of ridicule and scorn. Lost jobs. Did not get promotions because they had a faith which they believed in which they were willing to share. I'm talking about a day and time when we never used to put the sign up on the church. You would pass 10 Adventist churches and never knew that they were Seventh-day Adventist because we were afraid to put the sign up. That was a day and time when it was not popular to be a Seventh-day Adventist. Our pillars were there working and laboring. When individuals did not recognize them, you were looked down upon. They were there. They labored. They worked in that day and time. But you've been faithful. You've shown perseverance. You have grown spiritually. And now I'm saying that we as a generation coming up, the younger generation, and I don't really include myself in that younger because about 5 years ago, I started telling my members the church should not be built for persons my age because I'm moving off the scene. If you're 50 and older, you're moving off the scene. I know you feel as strong as an ox, but rest assured, you're moving off the scene. We need to prepare for the generation coming up underneath us. We need to train them. We must teach them some of the songs that we used to sing, Sister Wallace. In his hands, the handy, in the stars, his handiwork I see. That's not heard today. We need to bridge the gap, I'm saying, with the old songs and the new songs. Those from the hymnal who wrote in the 17 and 1800s, and those whom God is speaking today. We need to bring them together. Tell them about the history of the Maranatha Church. Brother Rodriguez is the only surviving member. I saw him earlier in Maranatha from when the church was started. Tell them who are the pillars, who started, who led out. I remember when the church used to face, the pulpit was this way, I think. Okay, over there. I think it was under Pastor Johnson that they started the renovation and spun it around. I was a young stripling back then. But let them know the legacy of the church international and the church locally. Those of you who remember, write it down. If you can't write it, let someone record it on the phone for you so that the history of your church will be passed on. When you look in the book of Psalms, and when you look in the Old Testament in particular, a lot of the Psalms talks about Israel's history. That is how they pass on teaching. Look at it. You will notice certain repetition in the Psalms. That was a gem, a literary gem to help them to remember. And the easiest way to teach someone something is to use music. You check it out. The wise man built his house upon a what? A rock. You just learned the parable of Jesus through song. And so find a way, if you can, to put it in music, put it in poem, write it down so that it is not lost. Our pioneers, our seniors have been faithful. Deuteronomy talks about teach your children. The Shema, it was said every day in Israel. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy mind, thy soul, and thy might. And thou shalt teach them unto thy children when thou gettest up, when thou liest down, when thou walkest by the way. It was to be constant. It is to be constant. And I'm speaking to those of you who are younger. Spend time in the presence of your elders. It is an experience that you cannot replace. And the best time to do it is yesterday. Because nobody knows if they're going to see the sunset. I took my son some years ago back to Dorset Alley. We used to call it Babylon in those days, to meet Miss King, whom we grew up with. A couple months later, I heard the woman had died. And I just said, thank you, Lord, I took him to meet her. Because she helped to grow us up through Babylon. I showed him the house where we used to live, a 3-room house. It was so small, I remember when we moved to the one in Cambridge Lane, my aunt's mother says, now this is a big house. I hope you all don't get lost in here. 7 rooms. You understand the difference, right? Let them know, young people, of where you came from, where the seniors came from. The bedroom, which doubled as a front room, the children's bedroom, and then there was the kitchen. Sister Kenyatta, what's missing with that scenario? You go to the outside toilet. You put the water in the tub and you bathe in there. Drinking water, you go to the government pump. Velacopia was around. I didn't even know it existed. We didn't have the money to buy it anyway. And so we grew up on Rocapure. And it was much worse then than it is now. Now it's drinkable. I've tasted it. Not the best, but it's drinkable. Back then, you couldn't say the same. These stories of your hardship, remembering our pioneers, honoring them, tell your grands and great-grands how you had 2, 3, sometimes 4 children in Bahamas Academy while working as a straw vendor, while scrubbing floors, while serving as the maid, while doing cookout, and all these little stuff just to put your children through school, thus making it better for the grands and the great-grand. I was the first out of 5 children to ever go to college. Everybody went through ITC, BTVI now, but I was the first out of 5. My mother said to me when I told her I wanted to go to college, I want you to know a government job is a sure job. That's all she said. She didn't tell me no. She didn't ask me how I was going to pay for it. But she said government job is a sure job. That was in 1988. But they made tremendous sacrifice. They sewed baskets. They denied themselves clothing. Couldn't tell you the last time they bought a new garment or had a new shoes so their children could have a better life than they did. We're honoring our pioneers. those who have gone before us, who have made it possible. My kids laugh at me when I talk to them. I tell them how my mother used to be on the side of the wooden house beating and bamming, and somebody in the front door and the other member of the church knocking, trying to wake me up, because there was no deadlock. So when you go, you put a padlock on. And in the nighttime, you put the bolt across. So she was outside, I was inside, and I was dead to the world sleeping. There was no air condition. Well, no, correction, there was. You took the stick and put it in the window and hope the mosquitoes didn't eat you alive. When it's time to go sleep, you closed it. That was it. That was where our seniors came from in order to make life a little better for many of us who came afterwards. So Joshua raises the question. And I'm raising the question to those of us who are younger. Joshua 24:15. If it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve. The gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And I'm asking us, young and old, to get back to family worship. We can find, let me put it this way, we make time for that which is important. If you get up at 6 o'clock to get ready to beat the traffic, because you hate sitting in traffic, you can make time for worship. Remember the big family Bible with all the pictures in it? Let's get back to from whence we came, and some of the stuff that we're dealing with in our society we would not have. Let's start training our young people from now, that when they walk past a church or religious service and you turn your music down or off, let's get back to the time our pioneers will tell you when Christ Church Cathedral would leave its doors open downtown so anyone could go in and sit and enjoy the quietness of the presence of the Lord and worship and pray. Not gonna happen. We don't do that today. We lock it and we got burglar alarm, and then we put cameras on top of that, because we have lost our respect for the sacred, that which our parents and grandparents taught us. I'm saying we need to get back there, and we will have a better society. I'm old enough to remember when cocaine first came into the Bahamas in the 80s in a major way. It was always here, but that's when it came in a major way. When individuals lost respect for God and things of that nature, and the focus was on what I can get. I'm talking about the time when the parents used to be proud to say that their children had finished high school. I'm talking about pioneers who, some of them didn't have more than a 3rd grade education or 6th grade education. And they said they want their children to have better, and they sacrificed and worked their fingers to the bone so you could go to private school and some of us could go on to college. Understand the sacrifice. Do not feel entitled. You're entitled to food, shelter, and clothing, not designer jeans, shoes, and the latest phone. Understand it. Understand the difference. Understand the sacrifice that was made for you and I to be here. Many of our parents and pioneers grew up in the University of Hard Knocks.